Well, the U.S. Congress has finally affirmed President-elect Joe Biden's election victory. This after the Electoral College vote was interrupted by protesters who violently sieged the Capitol. This unprecedented scene encouraged by outgoing President Donald Trump. Marianne Domain joins us with what happened. There's certainly a lot to uncover with that. And of course, a lot of reaction. The world really has been watching, hasn't it?
They really have. They were watching with their mouths open, Anthony, because simply they were scenes that left the entire world stunned after a crowd of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol building in a violent siege that left 4 people dead, including a woman shot in the chest by police. The mob interrupted a joint session of Congress in an effort to overturn the election results, fueled by Trump's baseless allegations of voter fraud. Images from the scene show a swarm of people carrying Trump flags, rushing the steps and scaling the walls, forcing an evacuation of parts of the building, while some politicians were forced to shelter in place. As you saw, police used tear gas to try to disperse the crowd, but they still barged into the Capitol building, one even snapping a photo sitting in House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's chair. Now, in the chaos, 1 woman was killed after being shot by Capitol Hill police. 3 other people, a man and a woman, died as a result of medical emergencies. Police say 2 pipe bombs were recovered, as well as Molotov cocktails. President-elect Joe Biden condemned the riots. Democrat Chuck Schumer called it one of the darkest days in recent history. Now, here in Toronto, more than a dozen cars with signs that read "Stop the Steal" drove past the U.S. consulate with flyers. But unlike what was happening south of the border, here in Toronto, it all remained peaceful. Nothing compares, though, to the chaos that was happening in the U.S. One reporter who was there in the chaos in Washington described what happened.
It's just surrounded on all sides by thousands of people. And at some points, like what people are looking at now, I was just a few feet away from the building, and it was thick, you can see, with protesters, some of whom were smashing on the windows on the Senate side of the building. And at some points, picking up sort of barricades and smashing them against the windows.
The Capitol complex, especially the Capitol itself, is the epicenter, along with the White House, of American government. And it's such a formal institution. And it was amazing and heartbreaking and outrageous what happened.
Now, Congress formally validated Joe Biden's election victory early this morning. That prompted a statement from Trump saying, quote, "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nonetheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. He went on to say that this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history and that it's only the beginning of their fight to make America great again. Meanwhile, Trump has been locked out of his Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook accounts for 24 hours, Anthony, after the platforms ruled the post contributed to the risk of ongoing violence. I'll send it back to you.
Marianne, thank you so much. Marianne Domain from the newsroom, and we will continue to cover the story extensively throughout the morning. We will go to Washington, covering the politics and, of course, the massive security response to this. Many angles to cover, and we will be covering this from the beginning.